Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back and we're live streaming once again. Yep, we're going to give this one another shot. We've got Ahsoka episodes on the Clone Wars. We got Which Jedi Would You Rather Have by Your Side in Duel of the Fates? And Kathleen Kennedy seems bent on destroying the Mandalorian. And it's all coming to you right now.
You're listening to Head to Head, a Star Wars podcast. Two generations, all things Star Wars, begins now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eric Vansel.
And I'm Daryl Sanders.
And we're your hosts for this podcast. So, how have you been holding up in week 2 of the virus?
Yeah, man, it's been cool. Things have been wrapping up here. Of course, in the state of Michigan, being a teacher, the governor's kind of laid out some new things for us as far as, what we're supposed to be doing now as an instructional staff. They've closed schools for the remainder of the year, but that doesn't mean we as teachers have to stop, putting out content for our students to continue their learning. So it's been a whole process. It's fluid. It's like everybody else, it's affecting everybody's way of life, from education to work to the economy to production and, even Star Wars, so, it's affecting us all. But, the best way to deal with it is just, roll with the punches, stay prayed up, wash your hands and,
wash your hands and stay at home.
Just kind of hang in there. Stay at home.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing that's funny is it's even affected us, because as you guys can see right now neither one of us are on our normal set. So
right.
We've had some internet issues at our normal location, and it's just been kind of crazy. But, there has been some cool news. Now, we're going to cover this a lot more next week, but they just made an announcement today, I think. At least that's when I found it. I don't know if that's actually when it came out. But they released the main characters of the High Republic series, like the main Jedi guys.
Sweet.
Yeah. And
Nice.
It's weird. It's kind of like, if you see the picture of the main guy, he sort of resembles like a whole Lord of the Rings thing.
I can see that.
The lightsaber has got like it looks like a normal sword, but with an actual lightsaber.
Okay. So it has like the hilt like Kylo's almost? Or the
Yeah, but the thing is, whereas Kylo's hilt is like the whole like light cross.
It's like an exhaust port basically for the
Right. But the thing is,
the crossguard thing.
That's it, crossguard. Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's a normal crossguard. It's not like a light crossguard like Kylo's. It's really strange. Yeah. I don't understand it really. But
yeah, I
have
guess
you heard
maybe it's
anything
for
about
like
that?
a lot of those. Well, no, I mean, I did hear that they did just kind of start talking about the High Republic a little bit more now, because of course now fans are anxious about to kind of, sink their teeth into it now, especially during this time period where, everybody's sitting at home and you kind of like, all right, well, what's to catch up on? And so that now, once you kind of get tired of watching Netflix, you kind of want to look into your other, your other favorites. And of course, Star Wars being the big thing. So, and this whole, High Republic thing that they're kind of rolling out, because it's not like it's just like one thing. I think they're really trying to build out of this. So, of course, with the books initially, but then I think we're going to start seeing films, television shows, which makes sense because like we've always said, it's a world that we haven't dealt with before. So, they have all the room to grow in this.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And the books are going to start coming out, I think, in a couple of months or something. So it should be cool. Now, this is pretty much what we're going to be talking about next week for those of you guys watching. I mean, first of all, for those of you guys watching, make sure you hit that subscribe and that like button on this video. And, you can chat with us in real time. We're going to monitor it. We're going to pretty much try to have a conversation with you guys all through the thing. So, you can also hashtag head-to-head-SW and hit us up with any questions there. All right. You ready to go to the Cantina?
Yes, sir.
All
Time for my
righty.
drink.
Let's go. All right. Here we are. So first we got some sad news, don't
Yes.
we?
Yes, man. Yeah, I think we need to, raise a glass and tip it to um, the passing of Andrew Jack. Unfortunately, he has transitioned to becoming one with the Force. Andrew Jack, being a member of the Star Wars family, he was seen in the Force Awakens, and of course, he's also a very famous dialect coach.
Right.
Who has been currently working on the new Batman series. So,
Oh,
which
has he?
has held our production. Yeah, he was actually the dialect coach on the the
Oh
new
man, I
Batman
didn't know that.
film.
I knew he was
Yeah,
the
man.
dialect
So
coach, but I didn't know that he was working on Batman. Well, see,
yeah, some of
now I'm
his
mad.
biggest. Yeah, I know who you tell because Batman being my favorite character. So, but he's also worked on the Marvel films like the Endgame, Infinity Wars. He's also done Lord of the Rings. So he's even Mark Hamill took the time out to tweet in about the passing of Andrew Jack. And it's really sad because unfortunately he did succumb to complications from
From the
the
coronavirus.
coronavirus.
Yeah.
So it's spreading literally like across the galaxy, if you will. um I want to try to read something from Mark Hamill. uh he pretty much said that uh let's
Yeah,
see,
see, we could do
he
that
says,
now.
I know, right? I'm so sorry and saddened to hear that we have lost Andrew Jack. He was such a kind gentleman who was deeply gifted and beloved by all who knew him. My deepest condolences to his family. Um, his wife also talked about just him being so tall and striking with that flowing white hair, and you couldn't miss him if you walked into a room. And he was diagnosed with the coronavirus, and then he was really in no pain, but he definitely slipped away peacefully. So at least if he had to go, he went away peacefully. So we're definitely saddened to hear that we're losing Andrew Jack as a member of the Star Wars family, but fortunately, we have his films to kind of always remember him by.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm really happy that we can actually take the time to remember these guys because honestly, it's the minor characters that I think make the biggest impact in some of the films sometimes. And I don't think that, people
Hmm.
realize that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes the minor characters do kind of stand out. I mean, like look at Boba Fett. He really pretty much didn't say anything. But he's also become one of the most beloved characters, in the Star Wars franchise, and he really didn't say much, at least as his role in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So it's always those characters who also add just that gravitas. Sometimes they don't have to say anything. Sometimes it's their mere presence, and then it kind of makes you like, "Whoa, who was that?" And that's kind of how Boba Fett was. He didn't really say anything, but he just looked cool. His presence was there, and you felt that. And I think, Andrew Jack, always does have um, that presence of authority. He always carried himself almost in that regal way that Christopher Lee did. That's who he kind of reminds
Mm-hmm.
me of. And then when you kind of hear about his contributions as far as on the dialect side, so he's kind of playing two different roles a lot of times because he's also the dialect coach and he's also an actor himself. So he really does a lot for the Star Wars franchise, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the scenes. So one way or another, we're all affected, by this loss because we might not get that richness that we always get um, from some of the characters now that he's gone because he isn't there to kind of help mold that.
Yeah, I totally agree. You hit the nail on the head on that one. So, what do we got next?
Yeah, well, next, let's brighten it up a bit. Clone Wars, like we said, is back. We're really happy about it. Ahsoka's back in the fray. We were wondering when we were going to get to her. So we kind of dealt the way with the Bad Batch, which was a cool group of guys to look at. But now we're kind of focusing back to what was kind of hyped up before. At Celebration, Star Wars Celebration, they really hyped up. Okay, Clone Wars is coming back, and they showed all the scenes with Ahsoka. So we really thought we were going to get Ahsoka straight out the gate. Not so much, but now she's here. So she shows up. I got through the first couple of episodes. Haven't seen the latest one, But the first two episodes are really cool. She's kind of trying to keep that low profile, doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that she's a Jedi just yet, or that she was a Jedi. Um, and she meets these two sisters, Rafi and Trace, and she kind of forms a bond with Trace initially. Rafi kind of seems like she's on that Han Solo
Yep.
smuggler kind of, hey, I'm going to do what I can to kind of get what I need out of you, backstabbing attitude. That's kind of how she kind of operates. But she's very wary of Ahsoka. She really doesn't trust Ahsoka because she's always kind of been like the whole big sister. So now that Ahsoka kind of come in and forged this really a strong bond with her sister Trace, all of a sudden, it's kind of throwing her for a loop. So we get to see Ahsoka actually do some fighting without the help of a lightsaber. So that was really cool. Just to see her actual hand-to-hand combat skills was really awesome.
Yeah, I
And
got to tell you,
then,
man,
uh,
I'm really enjoying the whole Ahsoka story arc because, like you said, she's trying to keep a low profile, so she's not using the Force that much. It's kind of reminding me of
mhm.
the whole I don't remember his name, but the character from the game, Jedi Fallen Order. It's kind of that same thing, right? Because he's a
Oh yeah, yeah,
Padawan and
yeah,
he's trying not to use his powers, but he's
yeah,
obviously he's going to, and she's kind of in
yeah.
the same boat. There's a lot of times where sometimes as a Jedi, you have to make the choice. Do you reveal, that you're a Jedi and take a chance of blowing your cover? Or do you let somebody potentially get hurt? And I mean, I think that that's one of the things that's really interesting is there's a lot of times where Ahsoka could have revealed who she was, especially when, oh man, the older sister, I'm blanking. What's her name?
Rafi,
Rafi.
Rafi,
Yeah, she
Rafa.
starts getting
Yeah.
kind of up in Ahsoka's face a little bit, and it's
Hmm.
like, okay, you have no idea who you're talking to right now.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really, the thing. And what's really cool about it is that, when you're a Jedi, the kind of the problem is that especially she's in the underworld right now. She's not above Coruscant where she's used to roaming around. She's actually in the underbelly of Coruscant. So, of course, their views and their depiction of the Jedi is completely different. So that's something that she's trying to contend with as well, especially given her just recent circumstance when she got expelled from the Jedi Order. So now she's kind of like, well, yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. And there's some things that she agrees with and some things that she doesn't. And, she's trying to hide the fact of how much she knows and how does she come to this with all this information. So it's really kind of cool just to kind of see how she's trying to maneuver around a lot of different things. Um, and then as we move to the second episode, there's this whole situation where now they're trying to run spice to this gangster group. And once again, Rafi is kind of like the streetwise one, and so she's really trying to figure out like, well, how do you know all this stuff, and like, where did you really come from? And we don't know that much about you, so she's always very leery of Ahsoka. And they made to pick up the spice. They had to go to Kessel, which was cool because once again we're going back to a familiar place that we've heard of, and now that we know from the Solo movie, we actually see the planet of Kessel, and once again just kind of the plight that goes on there, which was really cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I will say, did you catch the Return of the Jedi moment?
yes, the whole Anakin thing.
Yes, that
Yeah,
was so sweet.
yeah, that was pretty cool. I
I,
have to admit
yeah, I love how they kind of put that in there.
it was one of those things that was subtle. Like I almost missed it, to be honest. I mean, it's like one of
Yeah,
those
you
things where
would.
yeah, it kind of blows by, and you're just sort of like, wait, did they just no? Yeah.
Yeah. See, to me that's cool fan service though.
Yes.
Like that's fan service to me done right.
Right.
Like,
And
okay, I
that's the
just kind of
point I've
do a
been
little.
trying to make. And that's the whole thing. And I also appreciated seeing the whole underbelly of Coruscant because I think that they lifted a
Mhm.
lot of things from that. What was that series? 1313 that George
Yeah,
Lucas
the
was going
George
to
Lucas
make.
film.
Well, it was like
Yeah, he
it
was
was
supposed to
supposed
do
to
a
be the
TV show.
first live action, TV show. Exactly. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's so cool the way that they're doing this. I'm loving it. And I think that the episode that came out today is the conclusion of that story arc. But
Okay.
where do you think they're going to go next with it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think I probably have to see that episode, but I think, with Ahsoka, that's one of the things that is really interesting because she's got to bounce around all over the place and you got to kind of figure out like where she's going to find her next place in the world is.
Mhm.
From the
Mhm.
time she was a kid, all she wanted to be was a Jedi. And so then now, that kind of went awry. So now she has to kind of figure out like, okay, well, what do I do now? It's kind of like somebody who's been in the job, who's been like a doctor, for 30 years. And then all of a sudden, you can't be a doctor anymore. So now what do you do when you spent your
Exactly.
whole life training for those moments? So it's really going to be interesting for me. I really want to see the relationship, how that relationship with Trace and Rafa is going to end up, what that's going to end up being.
Yeah, I'm really
She did
curious
kind
on
of
where
use
they're
that.
going with that.
Yeah, she really kind of did, and she finally did use the force a little bit, and it almost worked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there was a
Yeah.
couple of moments in there too, where she was like using the force to hold that speeder up and and all that other
Hmm.
stuff. And of course that was the more minor stuff. But yeah, the mind trick thing, yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, she came so close. I'll tell you what though,
Yeah. They almost got
it's
her there.
right. It's really making me want to read that Ahsoka novel. I'm really starting to get to the
Yeah.
point where I want to read that now. But of
Well, yeah.
course,
Speaking of novels,
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we're pretty much, I guess, at that point, aren't we? For our next little
yeah,
thing.
man.
So go for it.
Yeah. So yeah, we both have recently picked up some new novels.
Yep.
So I've picked up the Star Wars Dooku Jedi Lost, and
Right.
you've picked up the Rise of Skywalker novel. So uh, it's weird because this book it's written differently. It's not written like a traditional book.
You know
It's
why?
almost written like a screenplay.
It is because that's what it was.
Mm,
It
okay.
started out, I'm trying to remember if it was a Clone Wars thing or if it was supposed to be, I forgot where it was supposed to go. It could have been Clone Wars, but it essentially was a script. It was a script and they turned it into a book.
Yeah. So this opening, and I was kind of like thrown. I was like, wait, okay, like everything's like the words aren't going like left to right; they're going like up and down. So I'm like, okay, so
Yeah,
this is
that's kind of
different. And
crazy.
then yeah, it was wild in itself. So I'm like, yeah, all right, this should be an interesting read.
Well, now
So
let me
yeah, I've
ask you
kind of cracked
this.
into it a little bit.
Okay,
Mhm.
how far into it are you?
Not
I'm
far at
5
all,
pages. No.
honestly. Basically, I mean, just dealing with all this stuff, man, with the schools, man, it's just been
Dude, I hear
crazy.
you,
So
man.
I've had
I mean,
to.
I'm doing this stuff. And of course, even to bring this show to you guys out there, I've had to do a
Yeah.
lot of research and things like that too, because when it comes to just recording the thing and putting it out on YouTube, oh, yeah, I got that down. But there's a lot of aspects of all this live streaming stuff, and even now, I'm not settled on what platform to use. Um, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So I totally get it. Because I myself, as you can see, I've started the Rise of Skywalker novel, and I'm
Hmm.
only like maybe 40 pages or something. Like I got to the
Okay.
point where Kylo is facing the Emperor, or he's about to. But dude, there's a
Okay.
wealth of information in that. Like there's this
Really.
whole they go into they actually open it where Rey's training with Leia. And there's like all this stuff
Hmm.
that's going on. It's I have a feeling that I understand why people were kind of I don't I don't really want to say tweaked out by it, but there was some things that were revealed in the whole thing that I think people had issues with. But so far I haven't run into those really. But they kind of
Okay.
altered the way that because in the movie you just get Kylo. You see him like, okay, he's killing all those people, and then he's on Mustafar, and then he's going, and eventually he gets the Emperor and stuff like that. They spend a little bit more time on this stuff, and also what's going on in his head. I'm telling you, it's an absolute must read. You have to read this book.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, you're gonna do it?
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah. No, yeah, definitely.
All right, whatever.
I mean, because what's the no, because I have like a gang of questions anyway. Because there's, I have a bunch of questions that I feel, and much like a lot of the fans, they feel that they weren't answered in the movie. So I'm hoping that at least they address it in the book. So that's why I'm really kind of hyped to read it. But yeah, I mean, Jedi Lost, man, it seems cool so far. It kind of opens up with like, Asajj Ventress, and I think it's gonna do like a kind of a flashback type thing. That's the vibe I'm getting so far.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm just really interested to see kind of how this is gonna chronicle him kind of going over to the dark side. How did he become a count in the first place? I mean, of course we know he's of royal blood from a particular planet. So just that, and then now I have my Star Wars atlas, that kind of covers from a lot
so
of
you
places.
can cross-reference some things.
Yeah, I can cross-reference some of the planets and stuff. Yeah, so that's why I'm really, excited to kind of get into this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to get back into reading more of the books, because if you remember, I think it was after The Force Awakens came out. So in between Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, I read virtually every book that was released. Like pretty much everyone, from New Dawn all the way to whatever the last one was. Yeah, exactly. After The Last Jedi came out, I read a number of them, because I think like the Thrawn trilogy was coming out around that time and some other ones. But between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, I haven't really had a chance to catch up. And now there's a gang of them. And of course, this whole High Republic thing,
See, yeah, that's a cool thing about, that's the only one thing, well, one of the few things I can say that's been cool about this whole Corona pandemic is like now it gives you a chance to actually focus on some other things. So when I'm done with the school stuff now, I can actually pull out the book before I go to bed and actually have time to really read it. And I'm not really rushing to get up in the morning and fly to school and deal with a class. Like I can actually just, all right, cool. I can curl up with a Star Wars book and kind of get some stuff done.
Yep. All right. Well, what do we got next?
Well, next we have Duel of the Fates. All right. So this week on Duel of the Fates, which Jedi would you rather have by your side, Ahsoka or Rey?
Ooh. Now, our camera angles have nothing to do. Like I'm above Ahsoka and you're above Rey. So I mean, that's
right.
I mean, I gotta take Rey, man. I mean, she's like this practically all powerful.
She's a Palpatine.
Well, yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. But here's the thing, though. I could actually make the argument for Ahsoka. I mean, obviously, Rey's way overpowered for Ahsoka, but Ahsoka's got a lot more experience. Rey's been pretty much spending this whole journey like learning, whereas Ahsoka was a proper Padawan, then she became a Jedi Knight and pretty much a Jedi Master, even though she kind of left the order before that, but still, she's a seasoned Jedi and she gets it. And because of that experience, there's advantages there. On the other hand, Rey's just kind of like seriously powerful, like totally powerful. So I'm going to have to go with Rey. I'm going to have to do it. What about
All right,
you?
well, I'm definitely going with Ahsoka.
Uh-oh. Duel the Fates.
Yes. I think I'm definitely going with Ahsoka. I think for all the reasons that you said, I think that because of all the things that she's done, she has the experience. And I think experience is always going to be one of the greatest teachers. I think that watching her evolution too, kind of grow. and I don't think that she has the fears that Ray has, or the things that she had to overcome things, of course, but I don't think she had to overcome that particular aspect.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you could say that, like, all right, well, she got trained by two, like, pretty much awesome masters in this form of Luke and Leia, but she really didn't have that much time with them. She's got most of her knowledge from the books and just her own innate ability. So, but I think that the fact where Ahsoka benefits is because she's had the benefit of the council. She served under different masters, even though Anakin was primarily her master. She's gone on missions with Obi-Wan. She's gone on the missions with May. She's gone on missions with Yoda, Plo Koon, all these great seasoned council members. Like, these guys are like high ups, and they're not just regular masters, but these are like the top dogs, if you will. Mm-hmm. So I think with all that, knowledge plus her own experience going through the Clone Wars, and crap, she took on Vader. So, which is pretty much her own master.
Yep.
So, but granted, yes, I think
that's still like the most epic battle and something that I had always wanted to see. Like, even from the beginning when she was saying, like, hey, Sky Guy, and all this other stupid stuff, like back when I hated her, basically, the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, she's Anakin's apprentice. At some point, she has to see the turn, and he's either going to kill her, like, as part of the purge, or, they're going to face off, like Obi-Wan Vader style. And that had always intrigued me. Always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I'm definitely going with Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka is really...
Now, look, I don't blame you. I absolutely don't blame you because, like I said, Rey's still trying to learn things, feel things out. She doesn't really know what the right decisions are. She kind of goes with her feelings and, what she... I mean, granted, she does have all the Jedi text, but she doesn't have the experience. And, there's some things that she does, like, say, lightning in a cruiser or transport or whatever, and destroying it.
Right.
That's just something that Ahsoka wouldn't do. She had that power. And I think that it cannot be understated. So, I think that's great.
Yeah, I just think Ahsoka's senses are more attuned to things. I think she understands the world a lot more. I think she just she just has experience overall just dealing with stuff. And even when she popped up in Rebels, how she dealt with Ezra and Kanan, like, just, hey, look. Or when she was like, when she felt Anakin, while she was in that starfighter.
Right. And see, to me, that was like some of the coolest things, because you definitely have a Clone Wars era. Well, okay, here, you got to do it like this. So you have an early Clone Wars era Ahsoka, and then you have a later Clone Wars era Ahsoka, and then you have the Rebels era. And each one represents a different stage of her growth. Like, she's kind of a different character in Rebels. Like, completely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. She kind of has that almost like that Obi-Wan-ish vibe to her, like in Rebels. Like, she's very calm and serene and just kind of at peace with stuff. Although she can definitely, fire them up and get busy if she needs to. But the wisdom that she has, that she's accumulated over the years, is kind of like, she definitely went from that whiny little kid to, okay, the trusted young adult that's like, okay, you know what, I can trust you to get the job done. I can leave certain missions to you and I know it'll get done. And then, just even when they called her like Commander Tano, like, it's just whoa.
Isn't that bizarre? But here's the thing, and this is why I'm going with Rey. Even though if you listen to my comments, it kind of sounds like I shouldn't. But I don't need Ahsoka's wisdom and experience. That's what I'm going to provide. Okay? I need the power. Okay. I need that power. I need that raw power. Like, here, Rey, you go do this. Hey, you see those guys? Like this army of stormtroopers or something? Yeah, go lightning them or something. Let me be the decision maker, and you go and do what I need you to do. Because your question
so you're really a Palpatine, too.
Hey, whatever, right? Because don't forget, your question wasn't, who would you rather have as like a master, or would you, like a leader or something. Right. It's who would you rather have by your side? So
Yep.
I'm thinking I could take care of the wisdom and logic stuff and planning. Let her take
Mm-hmm.
care. Let her do the heavy lifting, figuratively and literally.
Right.
And I just need to take a second here to just say how much I truly love this live streaming thing. Even though we actually,
Yeah.
from what I've seen, we haven't had anybody hit us in the chat yet like they did last week. But that's cool. If you guys are out there lurking, that's cool. Oh, and if you're seeing this on the replay, tongue-tied. If you're seeing this on the replay, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's down there. That's it. It's right there. Like right there. Just click the subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video. You know, let's take this journey and let's discuss some Star Wars together. You know, let's do this. Like I said, the live streaming thing's a little bit new for us. We're used to pre-recording these things and, you know, uploading them. But hey, and you can also hit us up at head-to-head-SW on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All right. What do we have next?
Next, we have From a Certain Point of View.
All right, now we're going to get into some stuff.
Yes, sir. All right.
Now
so
we're going to get into some things.
So, you know, when I brought this to you, you know, you said you really weren't keen on rumors, which I can understand. I mean, you've never been much of a gossiper. Neither
No,
am I really, but
wait, before you say it,
but
Darren Kane, he says, hey, it looks better this week. Thank you, buddy. I kind of learned how to do some of this stuff. And my computer's not freaking out on me like it was last week. So, growing pains, baby steps, small victories. Continue your thought,
yes.
Mr. Sanders.
Appreciate you, Darren. So yeah, this so this week, you know, I ran across something that kind of startled me a bit, and it was basically in regards to Kathleen Kennedy. And you know, there are a lot of people who have a lot of different mixed reviews on Miss Kennedy as far as how she's leading the Star Wars franchise. You and I have always talked about how we think she's an awesome producer. Like that can't
Hands
be
down.
ignored.
Nope.
Hands down, as a producer, she's amazing. As a studio head and as a leader,
Not so much.
It's not so much. But I think, and this is something that, and it's funny because you shared a hilarious meme with me like a couple of weeks ago.
I did.
Regarding
I know
Kathleen
which one you're
Kennedy.
going to bring up too.
Yeah, it's like all the things that you destroyed in your films, and then it's like Kathleen Kennedy sitting in front of the Star Wars logo.
Yeah,
hilarious.
that was great.
But I think
it was a cheap shot, but it was good.
But this week, we're really talking about this particular subject. So there's rumors that Kathleen Kennedy is tampering with The Mandalorian. And of course, The Mandalorian is a show that most Star Wars fans pretty much adore and love. And of course, everyone is excited for season 2. Everybody's looking forward to it. Everybody loves Baby Yoda and just the way that The Mandalorian is portrayed. And it looks pretty much like a film. It's just a series now at this point.
Yep.
So there are a lot of different rumors that have been circulating in regards to The Mandalorian. So one of the things is that there's a rumor. Once again, these are rumors. These have not been proven yet.
Rumors
only.
Just
what's been out there. The rumor claims that Kathleen Kennedy wanted to originally tie The Mandalorian to the rise of Skywalker, and particularly the Emperor Palpatine and Rey. Kennedy wanted to use The Mandalorian to explain how Palpatine survived, how he built up his army, and how he managed to construct his fleet. Basically retconning and explaining the awful details in the rise of Skywalker that were never addressed. So on that point, what are your thoughts?
You know what? It might surprise you. I'm not entirely against that. I think that would have been an okay idea. I don't think that they should shoehorn this stuff in, but at the same time, one of the things that the books and the comics and to a degree the TV series do so well is they kind of set stories up and they'll continue them in other mediums. So you might see a story arc in Rebels, let's say, that pops up in a novel somewhere. or you might see a character from a novel pop up in a comic or one of the TV shows or something. So, I mean, they're really good at setting up this, I guess, bigger universe and have it work somewhat in harmony. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some continuity errors that pop up every once in a while. But honestly, that's mostly the films. That's mostly the movies that are pretty much like either rendering something non-canon all of a sudden, or, you know, maybe there's not enough exposition. And in The Rise of Skywalker, it's the same thing. In fact, the whole like Emperor coming back, you remember how it said that he gave some announcement galaxy-wide or something? Well,
Right.
they turned out that in Fortnite, of all things, Fortnite, they ended up playing his announcement. Like, they actually showed this whole, I didn't, you know, I don't play the game, but yeah, he did his whole like little announcement and stuff in Fortnite. It's like, really,
That's
dude?
Fortnite? That has nothing to do with Star Wars. I could
Nothing.
see if you did it like in like Fallen Order or something, or maybe, you know, I don't know, well, not Fallen Order, but well, yeah,
Dude, anything that has the Star Wars name
Star
on it.
Wars name, yeah, but not Fortnite. That's like saying, yeah, he was John Madden on the new Madden 2020 dropped it, and you know the Emperor came over the PA system. It's like, what?
Right. It's
Yeah,
like,
that makes no
am I
sense.
gonna get like, you know, big rebel battles in Call of Duty or something? I mean, at least put it in Battlefront. You know, it's just kind of like,
Right.
I mean, this Emperor thing is a key bit of information. It's like you're putting it in Fortnite. Again, I know,
you know the
Xanax
kids,
time for
you know the
Eric,
kids
but...
who. Well, I'm just saying, like, you know, the kids who know nothing about Star Wars, like, well, what the heck is this?
Right. I mean, granted, it's pretty iconic imagery, but still, that, you know, there's like some 10-year-old or something that's playing it, or like, who's this old guy talking?
Huh?
He sounds kind of creepy. Kind of sounds like the guy next door that, you know, it's like, show me on the doll where Palpatine touched you. I don't know. I just think it's crazy. I think the whole thing is crazy. So, to answer your question, I actually agree with some of what her plans were. Now, I don't in any way, shape, or form believe that she would have done it the correct way, but to set some of the things up in Mandalorian, because remember, you are using the Mandalorian to tell the story, at least the beginnings of the story, post Return of the Jedi. So this is the first glimpse, well, not the first glimpse now, but, well, yeah, this is like the first real glimpse in a live action, you know, series or movie or whatever that we're getting directly post Return of the Jedi. Okay, so...
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. It makes sense as far as timeline wise. Yes, I think if you're going to, you know, and I guess if you want to do that towards the end, that would probably, if you have an end in mind for the Mandalorian, put that closer towards the end, you know. But in this, it says her initial pitch for the Mandalorian was that while looking for Baby Yoda's home, the Mandalorian is hired to search for someone's missing loved one, and that quest will lead into the Palpatine retcon storyline.
Well, here's my thing.
So,
and now correct me, you have the article in front of you, right? Or to the side of you. Okay.
Basically.
Is there something in there where like Baby Yoda's actually supposed to be a reincarnation of Yoda?
Yes, that was another thing that they brought that she wanted to do.
I'm not down with.
And yeah, definitely not. And that's something that they even tried to take to so actually so here it goes. The rumor claimed that Jon Favreau wasn't at all happy with Kennedy's approach, so he enlisted George Lucas, and they went above Kennedy to Bob Iger, who at the time was the CEO of Disney. And this is once again rumored. It's resulted that Kennedy began distancing herself from the Mandalorian. It had also been said that Kennedy had been banned from the season 2 set, although this rumor says that Kennedy is somewhat involved and attends meetings. But to your point, it says it claims
to be Iger, dude, because how do you ban the president of Lucasfilm from the set of a Lucasfilm show?
Exactly. So it
Oh,
claimed that
Darren doesn't
Kennedy
want
wants
it
to
either.
move forward
Hey,
with the
Darren,
story.
Darren doesn't want any of this either. Wait a minute, though, Darren. Do you
Oh,
not want, what don't you want? You don't want the Palpatine thing? Or, like, the explanation for that? Or do you not want, like, the baby Yoda as
Baby
a
Yoda.
reincarnation of Yoda? I don't think anybody wants that.
No,
Carry
that's
on.
stupid.
I'll let you know what he says when he chats it.
Okay. So it says, so it claimed that Kennedy wants to move forward with the story that the child from the Mandalorian is actually a reborn Yoda, something Iger is said to have been on board with, but that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni did not like the idea and are attempted to get a change. It is said that the child would not be called Yoda, but as time goes on, he will be able to recall his past. It further said that the storyline would be used to justify the existence of Rey with the reasoning that the Force puts people where they need to be. It is said that the Force puts Yoda back into play because he is needed, and that is why Baby Yoda doesn't need any training, which also applies to Rey as the Force wills it. What?
Yeah,
That
man.
makes no
There's like all kinds of stuff that's wrong with that.
That's insane. Like, first of all,
There you
like,
go. Darren's
okay,
right. Just
Yoda
let
isn't.
Yoda be dead. And is he the only one
Thank
of
you.
the species other than Yaddle? I mean, come on.
Well, not only that, but
exactly.
it's like,
And he's saying the
to
same thing
Darren's
that I've been
point,
saying. Go ahead.
well, to his point, it's kind of like, all right, when was he needed? I mean, outside of he popped up in the Force in the Rise. I mean, in the Last Jedi to talk to Luke. He did it as a Force ghost. He didn't need to be alive for it.
Right.
Because here's the thing: it makes no sense if you reincarnate Baby Yoda. If you reincarnate Yoda into Baby Yoda, well, where the heck is he in Rise of Skywalker then?
Right. Right. Where
See,
is he in Rise of Skywalker?
Makes...
And here's another thing. You know, why not reincarnate him during, well, okay, it does take place after Return of the Jedi, so I retract that point. But still, it's kind of like Darren was saying, it's something that I say all the time. You say it all the time. They're just, it's like they keep recycling. You know, Star Wars is starting to get incestuous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, then what's next?
It's
Are they going to reincarnate Darth Vader because the dark side needs balance? Or I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah, just for this shoehorn, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, because then you're going to take something that was so great with the original trilogy, and then now you're basically destroying it.
Well, they're destroying.
And it's like, why destroy something that?
Though. They're not really destroying the original trilogy because, I mean, that just stands on its own. But they are destroying any future thing that Star Wars could be. They're completely decimating the legacy of Star Wars by doing this. Completely.
Well, I just feel like, because I think a lot of people feel like it's kind of destroying the original trilogy, because if you're taking original trilogy characters and you're bringing them back in a manner that it doesn't make sense, it's almost kind of like Palpatine. Like, okay, if you can't explain how Palpatine came back in a logical way or in a good way, and it kind of like ruins, like, okay, that whole climactic moment at the end of Return of the Jedi, which everybody was just like, wow, because, you know, you finally see Vader come back to the light and toss his master over, and it was just like this big thing. And then now you got him back again. It's like, well, it kind of waters that down a bit, because
Did you have a chance to see that thing that I sent you? It was like an animated version of what the Colin Trevorrow script would have been. It was like key scenes.
I got it. I didn't get a chance to see it yet.
Man, first of all, it's kind of funny. It's
I'll
funny
believe
the way
it.
they present it. But
especially because it's like a Lego thing, right?
No, I mean, it kind of has that same animation, but they're not like Legos. They're, I don't know, it almost looks like
that's what I meant, like they almost like South Park characters or something.
No. It's done a little bit better than that. Think South Park meets like Clone Wars animation, or Clone Wars or Rebels.
Okay.
It's actually impressively done, honestly. But some of the lines are really funny, you know, because they have to zip to the storyline, right? Because they're not doing an hour and a half or 2 hour movie. They're just going through a lot of key scenes, especially how they differ from Rise of Skywalker. And it just shows you once you see some of this stuff visually, like, dude, Duel of the Fates would have been a great movie, I think.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I just think that, but see, once again, this whole, and once again, like I said, I have to stress that this is a rumor, but if this rumor is to be true, it just kind of shows you once again, it's like they still haven't cleaned out all the cobwebs out of the planning part. And this is the biggest part that we've always said is like, you have to plan this correctly. And I think that, like, okay, and a lot of people have already been calling for, Kathleen Kennedy's job already. Like, look, just go be the producer, just give them what they need, but let Filoni or Favreau kind of run, or at least, yeah, Filoni pretty much, or Pablo run Lucasfilm, because at least they're kind of the gatekeepers of the information, the knowledge, and they've been proven to come up with great stories. And they actually come up with concepts that have been, invigorating, and people are just really enjoying, whether it's animated or now with the live action of Mandalorian. And of course, Kenobi hopefully will be coming soon, after all this Corona crap is out of the way. So I'm thinking that, like, it just kind of seems like it's time
Obi-Wan,
for Kathleen to hang it up.
Not to march all over your point or anything, but it just triggered something. I read the other day that Obi-Wan, what did he get, like a new writer? Well, not him, but I mean the show.
Well, yeah, the show, right.
Yet another one? Or was that... Because remember how they fired the writers? They didn't hire anybody, did they? This is like the first guy that they've hired to be either a writer, executive producer, or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's somebody that they found.
Oh, you're going to look it up?
I don't...
We can do that now.
Well, yeah.
You can.
But
I'm trying not to do anything on my computer, man. It's
well, yeah, I know.
It's kind of doing a reasonably good job. I'm being very nice to the computer right now by not doing anything weird.
Love the computer.
Yes, love, but don't love the computer.
No.
We're live streaming. Yeah, just my luck. I'd get us like, all kinds of weird strikes or whatever. Be like, well, that's it for head to head, or kind of gives it a new meaning. I'm gonna stop.
Oh,
I'm gonna stop before we have to put the explicit content on there, which should be, But
well, as this said a day ago that.
Right? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Jacoby Harold. No, I'm sorry. It's like Joby or Jobby. I don't know how it's pronounced. Harold as the new writer.
Okay, he is the writer.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that's good news. It's good news that they're getting somebody kind of in the mix that in fact, what did he write? He wrote some things that I saw like in his credits that were actually pretty cool. Like I looked at it and I'm like,
Zack Snyder's Netflix film Army of the Dead. Executive producer on Edge of Tomorrow. He's writing a series on that. Let's see. He was actually scheduled to do some stuff for some Marvel shows, including Loki and the Falcon and the writing of Winter Soldier, but they had to be put on hold because of the coronavirus situation.
Yeah, that makes
sense. Yeah, I mean, he seems to be pretty well sought after, and he's on some big projects that fans love. So
yeah, well, that's what they need to do. This is why The Mandalorian is good. The Mandalorian is good because you got Favreau and Filoni running it. And those guys are like, okay, Kathleen Kennedy. You remember how John Boyega said you're not going to Disney Plus me? Well,
yeah,
Favreau and Filoni, Favreau and Filoni are like, you're not going to Gareth Edwards me, or you're not going to, Colin Trevorrow me. It's like, you don't do what we like, we're going above your head. We're going to Bob Iger. Now, don't get me wrong. Uncle Bob's got some pretty weird ideas, too. Like some of his stuff is out there.
Well, he went for the whole Yoda reincarnation thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, people pick on Lucas for wanting to make the little, nano creatures or whatever that manipulate the Force. I'm not in love with that, but I'm sure Lucas could make it work. I might not have liked it that much, but at least it would have made sense and it would have been planned out, you know?
Right.
Yeah. All
So
right.
yeah, I just think that Disney just needs to get its crap together and just figure,
Absolutely.
just really just let, like, my thing is, if you got guys who have consistently made the shot for you, like if once again using my sports analogies, but if you got the guy who's like, you got Tom Brady in the fourth quarter, like, let the man lead the team. Like, Favreau has been doing a great job. I mean, crap, he's the prodigy of George Lucas, for crying out loud. Then he's successfully ran the Clone Wars, successfully done Rebels. So he's proven that he can tell stories. He's proven that. Whether it was with animation or not, he's proven that he can do that. Favreau has proven that he can do great things with films. Okay, with the Marvel franchise. So these people have proven track records of dealing with major properties that Disney owns. So just
Yes.
let the guy, like, put the ball in their hands, let him shoot the shot. It's that simple. Let him shoot the shot or let him pass the ball. 9 times
Exactly.
out of 10, you're gonna come up with the win. If you don't, you're close to the goal line. I mean,
That's
that's
what
all
I'm
I'm saying.
saying. No,
But
I mean
with
that's a good point. I mean, I never could understand, why these people are so insistent on you have these super creative people and they're doing well and they're doing what fans like and they're doing what everybody thought was impossible. They're unifying the Star
Mhm.
Wars fan base. So let them
you, you
keep
know
doing that.
you know what
Especially
this
in
kind of
light of the
reminds
fact
me
that
of.
Rise of Skywalker kind of, had mixed reactions. What does it remind you of?
You know what this kind of reminds me of something from our personal lives that most people won't get, but once I tell you this, you'll definitely get it. And this person shall remain nameless. This kind of reminds me of that one supervisor that we had that wanted to leave their legacy,
Oh, I know
but
exactly
we're
who
the
you're
ones
talking about.
creating it. Well, we're the ones creating it. Just like, just let us do our thing and you'll be fine. But you keep trying to stick your nose. Just let us run the. Just let us run it, and you'll be okay. That's what this reminds me of. But anyway, I
Man, I don't
digress.
know. I don't know. It's it's frustrating because there are so many things they could be doing with Star Wars. And some of the creators, like the creators of the High Republic, for instance. Now, of course, I haven't
Hmm.
read a single page of any book or comic or anything like that. But, I mean,
The
so
concept is
far,
sound though,
yes, the concept is great. Everything about it is cool, at least from what I can see.
and that's how everybody felt about the Mandalorian. Because before we even saw any footage, once we heard about the Mandalorian, what it was going to be, when it was going to take place, the vibe of it. You saw how many people at celebrations they had like the little Mandalorian helmets. Everybody was like going crazy over this thing, and they hadn't even seen one like frame of footage yet. But just the concept of it all was just like, you know what? That sounds like Star Wars. That sounds interesting to me. That's something new, brand and refreshing. I'm all on board for it. And then, of course, once they heard
Absolutely.
who was doing it, they really were on board for it too, because they
Right.
have a proven track record.
Well, and that's what it comes down to. Trust the people that you hire. The problem that Kathleen
Exactly.
Kennedy has is she'll hire them probably based on some sort of concept they had, and then she like second guesses them, and then they don't really want to make the changes that she wants, so she fires them. It's like, well,
Hmm.
what are you doing? Like, look at Colin Trevorrow.
Exactly.
How could you not
Yep.
have confidence in what he was trying to do? I mean, that script was fantastic. The
Yeah.
concept art was ridiculously good. I honestly think I would have liked that. Oh, and then I don't remember where I read this, but they were talking about how when Hux killed himself over Coruscant because he lost the big battle, he actually killed himself with Mace's lightsaber. I mean, okay, sign me up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so
All right.
to wrap this up, before I blow a gasket, and you guys actually, I don't know, it's live, so it's unpredictable. I realize I have to say this in the interest of full disclosure. I didn't actually load our closing. I mean, we're not there yet. We got some show to go, but I didn't, load the closing. So I don't know even why. I probably didn't even have to say that, honestly, but I did. So moving on. All right. So now it's time. Ooh, I got to try to time this. From one of my favorite segments. It's called Clear Your Mind. That's right. This is where we answer your questions. All right. So what do we got first?
Our first question comes from Jill Leslie. Her question is, do you think we would get a
Oh,
Maz
that's
Kanata
weird.
book eventually?
I had actually changed
Hmm?
that. Oh, well. Yeah. Are we going to
I
get a
like the
Maz Kanata book? Well, first of all,
yes, I like the character, but I don't want to see her wasted.
yeah.
That's what she
You
says.
know what? I got it. And you know what? This is my goof. But let's address this because this was a question that did not make it on last week's show. That was your question, which was how big is the Sarlacc pit? And what do we say it was? Was
The
it,
100 meters.
100 meters or something like that? All right.
Mm-hmm.
So now going on to this question, we do at least have the picture. This is why we love live. Um, Basically, I think we're going to start seeing more stuff when it comes to Maz Kanata. I really do. Because she's a really interesting character. She's been around for like 1,000 years. So she had to have seen some stuff. She was the keeper of
Mm-hmm.
Luke's lightsaber for a long time. I don't know. I just think we're going to, see a lot of stuff. What do you think?
I would really like to see. I mean, I really would like to see her explore that she pops up in the High Republic era. That would be really cool
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
because then that would explain a lot. Um, how she knows so much because the other thing is that she like how does she know that was Luke's lightsaber to begin with? First of all, um, it could have just been anybody. It could have been Mace's. Like somebody just found it. How do you know it's Luke's? Um, so I think that she somehow uh, she definitely has a connection to the Force. I think that's pretty evident. But what's her role in all that? Like she just Force sensitive, like the Knights of Ren, where she can kind of do stuff, but she's not fully trained. Like, what's her scope? So I really like Maz because I think she's funny. I think she's insightful, and I think she has a lot that she possibly could bring to the franchise. It's just that, of course, when you bring in the new characters, you can't. The more characters you bring in, it's harder to expound upon them, and so
Yeah, no, I
some
agree.
characters are
I
meant to
agree.
be,
But here's the thing that you have to look at. It was some disciples of Darth Vader that actually brought the Luke's lightsaber. Because there's that whole comic series that I'm reading right now where Luke is looking for his lightsaber, but he doesn't find
hmm
it. So
right.
pretty much what happens is, at least according to some of the novels, who knows if they're going to contradict this or not, but these like disciples of Vader, these like Sith acolytes or something, maybe the same guys we saw in the Rise of Skywalker. Who knows? They ended up finding it, in the ruins of Cloud City. Well, not the actual ruins, but like kind of in the garbage or
Yeah,
whatever.
garbage. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So they get it. They have it for a while, and somehow it ends up in Maz's possession, but we don't know how. So, hey, maybe that's a book that they start by explaining first. I don't know.
true. Yeah, that'll be cool.
I mean, it would be nice, you know, but I don't know. We may never get that explanation, but I'm really hoping that we get more backstory on Maz and, we get a little bit more with her character. Because I honestly think that she was kind of wasted. I mean, other than in The Force
Yeah,
Awakens, I totally think she was wasted.
true.
All right. Well, what do we got next?
All right, the next question comes from Marvin Morton. His question is, How did Luke not feel Palpatine before he cut himself off from the Force? I'm sure he wanted to know who the heck Snoke was.
Yeah, so that's somewhat of a big one. And this is something that we've been addressing, you and I, privately in our own conversations. We brought this up on
Mm-hmm.
other shows before, too. And this is something that can blow by you. I think we actually brought this up once, where this is
Well, we brought
something that,
up the fact that the Snoke part, but not Palpatine.
yeah, okay, right.
But see, I get his question though, because if if Palpatine created Snoke, you would think that like, okay, where did this guy like? You think like, okay, if Palpatine was kind of behind the scenes with the whole Snoke thing, was it another situation where Palpatine was blocking the light side again, and then and Luke couldn't sense it? Because during that time, Luke was rebuilding the whole Jedi Order and everything like that. He's dealing with Kylo and everything like that. So he was very much into the Force at that time. So one, how did he not see Snoke coming, or how did he not sense Palpatine, especially by that time Luke being really strong in the Force at that point?
Yeah, well, and I think one of the questions that we had too, I think that's the reason what I was getting confused. It was sort of like how did they know that Palpatine was, Rey's grandfather or whatever? Remember when we were answering that question on like either last week or the week before
Mm-hmm.
or something? And this kind of falls into it too. My theory, here's my theory. I don't have any, canon stuff to back this up or whatever, but here's my
Mm-hmm.
theory. My theory is that it's swinging back the other way, and just like Palpatine was able to block the light side in the prequel era, and then of course Yoda was able to block the dark side during the original trilogy era. Now Palpatine is blocking the light side again in the sequel era.
Mm.
And but again, it's not the same Luke. But then again, if Palpatine can block Yoda, Mace, and all these other Jedi Masters, it's conceivable that he could block
That's
Luke.
that's a valid point. That's a valid point. You got to also wonder too, though, like, but even with that point, like, okay, you got to wonder like how, like, Luke's got to wonder like, how am I being blocked? Like how, like you must feel that at some point. So how do you justify? Maybe he thought Snoke was doing it, maybe,
Yeah.
and
You know what
he
the
didn't
real
see the
answer
guy
is?
behind the.
Let me give
We don't know.
our question person the real answer. The real answer is what happened was JJ wrote The Force Awakens, and then they let the next director, Ryan Johnson, go any direction he wanted. And then they let Colin Trevorrow go in any direction he wanted. There was no story arc. Remember that in Colin Trevorrow's original script, which was Duel of the Fates, that's what episode 9 would have been. There was no
Right?
Palpatine. He
Or
was well,
Palpatine,
he
right?
he, he actually recorded like a Sith holocron that Kylo found. But that was it. It wasn't him resurrected. JJ comes in and it's like, "Oh yeah, let's resurrect Palpatine." And now it's like, "Oh crap, we got to figure out how to do that." So that's the reason why you're getting all these plot inconsistencies. And so now it's up to the story group, authors, comic book writers, fans like us to go in there and be like, oh, well, it's because of this and that and whatever. But the truth is, it's because it was never planned out.
I agree wholeheartedly on that one. That's the best answer you could probably. I mean, you could really give. Honestly, and it's right on the head, man. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, let's play devil's advocate for a second. Okay. Let's just say that they did plan this out. I mean, we know they didn't.
mhm.
But let's just say they
Right.
did. How would you have brought back Palpatine in a way that would have made sense?
I would have brought Palpatine back in a way that made sense, where you have the Dathomir witches who had their spells and incantations and stuff like that. Okay. Now, I get the fact that Palpatine, um, he was dead. He might have transferred, or like he might have made a thing like, okay, in the event of my death, he already kind of made the spell where, okay, in case he died, his his spirit would transfer to another host. He just needs someone powerful enough in the dark side of the force to resurrect him. I would have done it more or less that way. Kylo goes and finds a way, like, okay, he needs to be stronger because he's tired of fighting the light so much. And who's darker than Palpatine? So he finds, like, okay, well, he's searching for that aspect, and then Palpatine comes back in that regard. Um, that way you don't have to worry about Luke, because in the way that they had it is basically saying like Palpatine was around the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at Force Awakens, Last Jedi, he was around technically because he said he created Snoke. He was around before that because Snoke was already around. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I would have had Palpatine come back at the very end, maybe,
Yeah,
because
no,
that was like, okay, the last
that
ditch
actually
effort.
makes a
That was
lot of
Kylo's.
sense.
Like, Kylo's trying just to get to the darkest of the dark, and he's trying to do everything that he can to combat the light. And so he's not getting it from, trying to be like his grandfather, but maybe the guy who made his grandfather. That's the key. And so then now he's on this quest for that. And let's say the resistance finds out that that's what Kylo's looking for, to bring him back so he can actually help him and become his master again, or become his master. Of course, the resistance knows if Palpatine comes away, we know what's ahead, what's in store for us. We have no hope, and there is no Luke Skywalker this time to save us. See, to me, that creates that angst that we were missing from in Rise of Skywalker,
Yeah,
because
no,
now
I
everybody's rushing to kind of get
exactly.
that moment. Like,
Right.
we can't bring Palpatine back, because if there's no Luke to save us, and Leia's about gone. So, and they didn't even know Leia was really a Jedi anyway. So, yeah, to me,
Yeah,
that would have been the
and
better way to do it.
that would have been a much better way to do it, actually. Using the Dathomir witches. First of all, that's a great idea. Fantastic idea. Secondly, yeah, to create something like that so there's no Luke to save you, there's no super powerful being to save you. And maybe do a thing to where everybody has to band together and you don't necessarily have a Jedi or somebody to come in and rescue you at that point. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that creates, and then you could kind of do a combination of what Rogue One did really well, where you had, that wartime feeling, because then you could have had a true Star Wars like finale in that regard. But then you also have, like, okay, Rey has to step up,
Mm-hmm.
and she's still guided by Luke, but now she's like, okay, well, what happens if Palpatine comes back? How am I going to do it? And then Luke might have like imparted some wisdom into her. Like, there's one thing that, Master Yoda would have, taught me, or something at some point, and I'm giving it to you, just almost like a just in case type situation. Now you kind of see like how she can really truly unlock her power, and now she can really be like, oh, okay. And then now Palpatine, now she goes up against Kylo, and Palpatine might come back for a second, to make everybody go, ooh, oh, he's back. But now she's strong enough to actually deal with that.
Yeah, I think
Or she
that would
maybe,
have
or you
been
could still end it with
yeah.
her turning, Ben or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I even would have gone for the idea if maybe kept it slightly mysterious, even though I've always been the guy that's been saying you have to explain how this guy came back. You don't have to over
Yeah.
explain it. You just have to explain it a little bit, right? But I still
Mm-hmm.
think that it would have been better if Kylo and Rey had gone up against him. I think it would have been a little bit more credible. And I think that whole, what they call it, like a diet in the Force or something like that, you know, if they combined their power, that was enough to stop him. Because I wasn't entirely thrilled with the way that they did that. I can accept it, and it doesn't ruin me watching the movie, but still, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The other thing is, too, though, like, in thinking about it, okay, so Palpatine has no empire, essentially. I mean, he's got all those ships and stuff, I mean, granted, but, okay, the First Order is just floating out there. They're doing their thing. How is he making this nationwide broadcast? And, like, the First Order is pretty much the governing body. Like, how do they not, like, and he's all the way in the Outer Rim. How is Palpatine sending, like, this mass tweet out to everybody, like, hey, guys.
The unknown region
I know.
was the first to adopt 5G.
Another Palpatine
I'm telling you,
creation.
dude, it's powerful, right? But here's
apparently it's caused the coronavirus. So
here's the other thing you got to look at. Not only is he broadcasting from the unknown region, even the dudes in Fortnite can hear him.
Right. It's even crossing
he's going
like
cross
platforms,
like different franchises. Like I'm expecting to see the next Fast and Furious movie, and all of a sudden I hear Palpatine's voice, and everybody just kind of stops and like, ooh, wonder, you know, who's
hilarious
this?
is like would be the most hilarious thing. It was like it happens in Star Trek where like Picard is like, where's this transmission coming from?
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up. I finished Picard. Dude, man, that is such a great series. Seriously, sign up for the free trial of CBS All Access. They give it to you for like a month or something, and just binge watch them. There's only like 8 episodes. No, there's 10 episodes. It is so good. I know I shouldn't be saying this on a Star Wars show. I get it, but it really is.
Hey, man, most Star Wars fans are usually both anyway.
That's true, but you know, you do get those like hardcore Star Trek, Star Wars fans that. Even if they like the other, they say they hate the other one. You know what I mean? It's just
right.
I mean, everybody
I used to be that way until
that.
I actually,
Well, yeah, I remember. Well, your uncle started to get you into Star Trek, right?
No, it was my dad and my grandfather. They tried to get me into it, and I just resisted it. But my uncle's the one who turned me on to Star Wars in the first place.
It was Star Wars that he turned you in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I remember showing you The
kid.
Next Generation a few episodes. Yep. See? Resistance.
Yeah, you actually got me hooked in. Yes. But enough Star Trek. Back to Star Wars.
Back to Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I agree. You know, it's a gray area, but like you said, I think you gave the best answers that, you know, they just been playing all this stuff out, and that's why you have all the plot holes, Marvin. So, you know, I hope you can, much like the rest of us, just have to kind of suck it up and deal with it. But let's just hopefully moving forward, especially with this High Republic, they'll do better.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, and remember, if you guys, you know, watching the replay, whether you're watching us live right now or you watch the replay, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, you know, help support our channel. We're probably going to do a Patreon pretty soon or do the whole tip jar thing. I mean, I'm looking at different things that we could do now that we're live streaming, which, I mean, I'm surprised it took me this long to do it because I absolutely love to do it. I think that this show works better in a live stream. I think our conversations are more dynamic and actually represent a little bit more the whole reason why we started this in the first place, where it was you and I just kind of talking Star Wars. We didn't, you know, like we weren't so on script and everything. You know, when people are, you know, commenting in the chat or whatever. Like, I see that a little while ago, Darren was busting my chops again for the whole how big is a Sarlacc pit thing. It was a mistake. It was from last week. The same reason why I left.
It's a Star Wars mistake. You should be used to it.
Exactly. Don't try to retcon this.
Right.
But here's the
Kathleen
thing.
Kennedy's fault.
Well, yeah, there you go. I like that. Yeah, let's do that. So make sure you guys, you know, like I said, subscribe to the channel, like the video, Look out for more content. Because now that we can do this live streaming, and now that we're all prisoners in our own homes because of the coronavirus, I think you're going to see Daryl and I doing some shows. Like some review shows, or maybe just some extra stuff, extra Star Wars related stuff. So be looking out for that in the next week or so, because, I think we can make that happen. Right now, Daryl's like, no, we can't. What are you saying this live for? But no, seriously. Hopefully we do that. Make sure that you guys tune in next Friday, where, like I said, we're going to cover the High Republic and pretty much whatever else comes up in this next week. All right, I think that's going to do it for our show. I'm Eric Vansel.
And I'm Daryl Sanders.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
You're listening to Head to Head, a Star Wars podcast. Two fans, two generations, all things Star Wars begins now.